In a forest, a teenage boy named Camito accidentally stumbles upon a girl named Claire bathing in a lake. Due to her petite frame, Camito assumes she's a child, which angers Claire. In her frustration, she unleashes her fire spirit's power, but realizes she's completely exposed and feels embarrassed. During the chaos, she accidentally sends her whip at a tree, nearly causing it to fall on her. Camito intervenes to save her, but their close encounter earns him a good beating. After regaining consciousness, Camito learns that Claire attends the prestigious Aracia Holy Girls' School, and also tells her about the mysterious letter that he received from the school's principal, inviting him there. Claire unties the whip around Camito's neck and heads into the forest to form a contract with the legendary sword spirit, Demon Slayer, known to be unconquerable. Camito decides to accompany Claire, and they enter the temple where Demon Slayer resides. Claire tries to make a contract, but instead, a different sword appears and attacks them. Camito steps in, forcibly forming a spirit contract with the sword but passes out in the process. Upon waking up, he discovers a mark on his arm. Claire, still upset that an ordinary man managed to form a spirit contract, demands Camito to become her slave. The story shifts to Camito entering Aracia's school but quickly escaping from Claire's grasp. He makes his way to the principal's room, overhearing discussions about his presence. Ellis, the head of the Knights, confronts Camito but is stopped by Principal Miss Greyworth. Turns out, Camito seeks information about a spirit named Rishia. Reminded of the letter's agreement, Camito is shown around by Ellis, who reveals his small, stable adjacent living quarters and troubled class placement. Meanwhile, Claire, determined to become stronger, once again corners Camito, demanding his servitude. He agrees but insists on a kiss, leading to a change of heart from Claire. Later, they meet their homeroom teacher, Miss Freya, who introduces Camito to his classmates. Claire claims him as her slave, sparking a disagreement that's interrupted by another girl named Rinslet. They compete for Camito's attention, leading to a mishap that brands him a creep among his new classmates. Later, Camito laments the 2 months he must endure before the Blade Dance event, which he's reluctant to participate in. Later, Claire buys food for Camito since she feels sorry and does not want him to starve. Meanwhile, she accidentally hears that there is a spirit contract ceremony tomorrow in which the prize is a chance to make a contract with a military spirit. On the other hand, Camito thinks of Miss Freya's words about the history of Aracia School and the Blade Dance event. Turns out, the event is significant since the winner can ask for a wish to be granted. Camito then visits the canteen to get some food but ends up not buying anything since prices turn out to be quite expensive. A little later, Rinslet and her maid show up with some food, but Rinslet's real plan is to make Camito her servant, although he declines but still asks her to be friends. Just then, Claire arrives at Camito's place, clearly annoyed by Rinslet's attempts to win Camito over. Claire and Rinslet end up engaging in quite a tough fight and even summon their own spirits. Claire's firecat spirit, Scarlet, accidentally set fire to Camito's house. Seeing that, Rinslet uses her technique to extinguish the fire, but it not only extinguished the fire but also ended up destroying the house. On the other hand, Ellis and her friends suddenly show up and scold Claire and Rinslet for causing a commotion, which explains why they were in trouble. Not only that, but Ellis also insulted them, saying that Claire is the sister of a traitor and Rinslet's family is dishonorable. Angry by these words, Claire and Rinslet challenge Ellis to a fight, which she accepts. However, she asks for a 3-on-3 battle, meaning that Camito also has to join the fight against Ellis. Afterwards, Claire takes Camito to her room as he has no place to go. The room seems very messy, so he decides to tidy it up, accompanied by Claire's cat. Later, while having dinner, he asks Claire why she wants to be strong, to which Claire responds that she is determined to win the Blade Dance and wants to meet her sister named Rubia Elstein, famous as the noble who set fire to a place. Therefore, she is intending to find out the truth and ask Rubia directly. However, she has to get stronger first to meet her. Later, they go to Astral Zero's place to fight Ellis and team up with Rinslet, who happens to be already there. At the same time, Ellis and her friends also arrive, and the fight begins. However, since Camito has just re-released the spirit after 3 years, the spirit appears as a small sword. The fight is fierce, but Camito's team defeats Ellis's 2 friends. As Camito is about to attack, Ellis instantly uses an ultimate technique, but she loses her concentration because Camito praises her beauty. Shortly after, a demon spirit that recognizes Camito emerges from the sky, surprising those present at the scene. Claire and the others are confused about how the demon spirit is entering Aracia. Ellis is ready to confront the demon spirit initially, but Claire insists on facing it alone. Camito warns her, but she persists and exhausts herself in battle. Recognizing Claire's losing battle, Kamito intervenes, but it is Scarlet who sacrifices herself to save Claire's life. Claire grieves her spirit's loss while Kamito tries to summon his sword again, but all in vain. Undeterred, he perseveres, attempting repeatedly until he finally summons his Demon Slayer sword and instantly kills the demon spirit with a single attack. Claire regrets not listening to Kamito. Shortly after, he falls unconscious due to overuse of spiritual energy. Later, Kamito finds himself in a dream from his days as a disciple of the Demon King, where he received power from a girl who turns out to be Rishia. Upon awakening, he realizes he's in Rinslet's room and is shocked to discover a girl under his blanket. Kamito asks for her identity, and she reveals herself as Kamito's sword spirit, ESD, though Kamito isn't aware of it yet. Shortly after, Rinslet enters the room, prompting Kamito to ask ESD to hide under the blanket again. Kamito thanks Rinslet for her hospitality, but she insists he must leave due to dorm rules. When Kamito mentions needing to change his clothes, Rinslet's curiosity gets the better of her. To her surprise, she uncovers a girl with Kamito. He tries to explain, but Rinslet summons her spirit in anger. In a surprising twist, EST subdues Rinslet's spirit. On the other hand, Claire seems very down, but she still has not given up, especially now that there is an opportunity to contract with a military spirit. She intends to enter the event and win it. Afterward, Kamito and EST go to Rinslet's room, where EST reveals her reason for choosing Kamito as her master. Meanwhile, other students accuse Kamito of being a creep for bringing another girl. Shortly after, Ellis arrives and scolds him. As he tries to explain, Ellis immediately understands. Worried about Claire, Kamito begins searching her room, only to find it empty. Ellis then informs them about the military spirit contract event happening in the city that afternoon, which requires a blade dance to obtain a military spirit. Realizing Claire would be attending the event despite lacking a spirit's strength, Kamito makes up his mind to go there. Meanwhile, Claire meets someone who promises to restore the spirit of her deceased cat. Without hesitation, she accepts the offer. Claire remains unaware that the power she's tapping into belongs to a devil. It's only revealed that the person offering this power is Rishia herself. Sometime later, Kamito enters the arena, while Claire has already fought against other participants in a bid to win the military spirit prize. During her battle, she appears vulnerable without the support of her spirit contract and becomes the subject of gossip, earning the label of the traitor's little sister. Desperate to prove herself, Claire unexpectedly harnesses the power granted by Rishia. Her cat spirit materializes, surrounded by a dark aura. Her newfound powers send the other spirits into chaos, causing panic among the spectators. Kamito, who has just arrived, confronts the rampaging spirit that has possessed Claire's cat. He attempts to awaken Claire, who still craves power. Unable to endure the constant mistreatment and loneliness, Claire expresses her feelings, prompting Kamito to assure her that he'll always be there for her. He willingly becomes her contracted spirit and reveals that Scarlet is still alive, with her spirit having evolved. Upon learning this, Claire removes the mark on her hand, while Kamito releases the seal on her cat spirit's forehead. Together, they finally manage to defeat the ravenous spirit. Afterward, Kamito inquires about where Claire obtained her newfound power. Shortly after, Rishia appears unexpectedly, leaving Kamito in disbelief that she's the one responsible for granting Claire her newfound power and causing all the chaos. Rishia explains that she did it because of Kamito's wishes, but then attacks him. Kamito manages to evade her, and she mentions that she has been waiting for him for 3 years. Afterward, she departs, leaving Kamito to remember his long-held desire that nobody else wanted. Meanwhile, the spirit Kamito had defeated transforms into a colossal golem spirit. Claire quickly whisks Kamito away from the scene, but he remains preoccupied with Rishia. Claire presses him for an explanation about Rishia, and it's revealed that Rishia was once Kamito's contracted spirit. Kamito feels immense guilt, but Claire urges him to regain his focus since the giant golem spirit is heading toward the city, and only they can stop it. Kamito remains troubled, so Claire takes matters into her own hands and kisses him, snapping him back to attention. They immediately set out to confront the giant golem spirit. Claire admits she has limited power, so Kamito must battle the colossal golem spirit. Kamito resolves to perform his best sword dance, akin to Ren Ashbel. He begins his attack by targeting the giant golem spirit's eyes. On the flip side, Claire tries to establish a connection with the giant golem spirit by holding its hand, allowing it to deliver its ultimate attack, which leads to the successful defeat of the giant golem spirit. After this intense battle, Kamito faints once more. Claire is left astonished by Kamito's sword dance, which strikingly resembles Ren Ashbel's. Upon returning to the dorm, Kamito finds ESD under his blanket once again. The atmosphere becomes chaotic when Claire catches him with EST. To add to the confusion, Rinslet and Ellis are also present and furious at Kamito's seemingly inappropriate behavior, although it's all a misunderstanding. On the other hand, a girl named Fiona enrolls at Aracia Academy. The scene shifts to the past, where Fiona struggles to battle a giant spirit, but fortunately Kamito arrives to lend her a hand, swiftly defeating the giant spirit with his sword. Upon seeing Kamito's swordsmanship, Fiona recognizes him as someone similar to Ren Ashbel, the legendary blade dancer. Kamito confides in her, revealing that he is indeed Ren Ashbel, and asks her to keep his identity a secret. Fiona agrees as she is grateful for his assistance, and Kamito escorts her out of the Astral Zero Woods. Once they are safe, Kamito explains his reason for participating in the blade dance event, driven by a personal desire. Before parting ways, Fiona expresses her desire to get to know him better and promises to meet again someday. At present, Kamito has recovered after a week of treatment. As he prepares for training, EST, feeling envious, desires a kiss after witnessing his kiss with Claire. Afterwards, Kamito and his classmates spar for a promotion. Miss Freya notes that a sparring team should consist of 5 members, but Kamito's team has only 2 members. Claire mentions that numbers aren't the issue, but unfortunately they are easily defeated. At lunchtime, Claire remains upset about their loss. Rinslet joins Kamito and Claire, and her maid provides information about a new student at their school. Rinslet's maid discreetly suggests that Kamito should join Rinslet's team, as all her previous teammates left due to her arrogance. Kamito discusses this with Claire, who initially refuses but later accepted Rinslet's proposition. While Rinslet and Claire are exchanging heated words about their intentions, Ellis intervenes, inviting Kamito to join her team, but Claire forbids it, emphasizing her need for Kamito. Kamito also declines Ellis's offer, and as he departs, Ellis informs him about a meeting with Miss Greyworth. Elsewhere, Rishia happens to encounter an ominous being. Meanwhile, Kamito meets with Miss Greyworth, who introduces him to the new student, Fiona. Kamito doesn't seem to remember her, and though Fiona is aware of it, she decides to keep her true identity hidden. Miss Greyworth reveals that Fiona's presence at the school is tied to a crucial mission, and assigns Kamito and his team to protect Fiona. Meanwhile, the individual who previously encountered Rishia is revealed to be Gio and Zagi. They are plotting to gain access to a quarry, but they face difficulties due to a seal guarding the location. In response, Gio suggests a plan to steal crucial documents from the library as a means of entry. He asserts that this act will serve as proof of his worthiness to be the successor to the Demon King. On the other hand, Kamito has just learned that Fiona is a princess, so he promptly kneels before her. However, she tells him to stand up and says that her title as the princess is no longer valid since her place of origin has been burned by Rubia. Moreover, Fiona is nominated to be the next leader, but she is rejecting it. Miss Greyworth informs Kamito that Fiona is embarking on an S-rank mission with a substantial reward. She then asks Kamito to investigate a quarry mentioned in a report due to the frequent unexplained earthquakes. While Kamito assumes the mission might not be overly challenging, he doesn't dismiss the possibility of encountering obstacles. Miss Greyworth adds that if he successfully completes the mission, his rank will rise. As Kamito and Fiona are leaving the principal's room, it is revealed that Miss Greyworth has planned for Fiona to enter Rishia. While walking with Kamito, Fiona is admitting that she has purposely chosen him as her partner and is referring to him as Ren Ashbel, but it seems that Kamito doesn't remember it. Not far from them, other students seem to be gossiping because they see Kamito getting close to a female student. Hearing their gossip, Fiona is becoming flirtatious and is deliberately embracing Kamito. At the same time, Claire is arriving and is jealous of them. Kamito is then taking Fiona to Claire's messy room, where Fiona is trying to make Kamito obey her, threatening to reveal the fact that Kamito is Ren Ashbel. He can't help but comply with Fiona, who is then asking about his relationship with Claire. Claire is responding that Kamito is her contract spirit. Hearing that, Fiona knows that Claire and Kamito must have kissed. Fiona, envious, is immediately challenging Claire to a duel to prove who deserves to be with Kamito. Claire is ready to fight, but Fiona is asking for a cooking duel. Claire is agreeing, and they are starting to cook. Sometime later, Claire is serving her homemade food that looks burnt and strange. Then it's Fiona's turn to serve her delicious food. However, when Claire is eating Fiona's food, she falls unconscious. The scene then changes to Kamito, who is in the shower. Fiona suddenly enters the bathroom and asks him to shower together. She tries to clean Kamito's body, but he resists. The noise they make wakes Claire up, and she catches them and takes a shower with them instead. Fiona is again envious, seeing Claire's seal. Shortly after, EST came to inform them that the school was under attack. The scene then shows the knights losing to Gio, who is stealing something he wants. Ellis steps in to fight but gets beaten easily. Luckily, Camito and Claire arrive in time and help her. At the same time, Gio managed to escape, so Camito and Claire decided to go after him. When they arrive in the forest, Camito and Claire are finally able to catch him and get involved in a fight. Gio is able to control so many spirits that its strength is multiplying. After this, he also knew that Camito was Ren Ashbel. When Camito is cornered, Fiona throws a spirit crystal and manages to save Camito. But Fiona's body couldn't move because she is too scared, so Camito has to protect her from the attack. Claire eventually falls unconscious. Camito and Fiona are getting into the fight but are being pushed back. When she is about to be attacked by Gio, Camito is immediately blocking the attack. Unfortunately, Camito is losing his power and getting injured by Gio's attack. Gio manages to escape, while Camito is seriously injured and Fiona fainted. The scene begins with Fiona daydreaming about confronting Rubia Elstein with her spirit contract robot. She's aware that her robot is no match for Rubia. Camito interrupts her thoughts, wanting to ask her something privately, but Claire arrives, so he quickly takes Fiona away. Meanwhile, Rinslet, who's in the cafeteria, notices Camito with Fiona and feels jealous. However, she changes her mind when she sees Claire looking agitated. Rinslet learns about Claire's anxiety and offers help, but with a condition. As they make their way through the forest, Camito inquires about Fiona's true identity, and she drops a clue that triggers a memory in him. Fiona expresses disappointment that Camito didn't recognize her. On another front, Rinslet gives Claire advice and offers to join her team temporarily. Surprisingly, Claire accepts it but on certain terms. Back to Fiona and Camito. Fiona apologizes for using Camito to form a team. Turns out, she wanted to win the Blade Dance event to fulfill her dream of becoming a princess again. Ellis and her companions catch Camito and Fiona together, and even after Ellis scolds them, Fiona continues to flirt provocatively. Fueled by a desire for revenge against Gio, Ellis and her friends decide to head to the quarry. Camito offers to collaborate since their objectives align, while Claire attempts the uncomfortable strategy suggested by Rinslet. However, when Camito enters the room, the atmosphere turns awkward, prompting him to leave. The next day, Camito prepares for his mission and is surprised to find Rinslet joining. Claire explains that Rinslet might be helpful, teasing Camito in the process. Fiona arrives but struggles with her horse, which surprises Camito. Under the cover of night, Camito's team reaches the quarry and stumbles upon an ancient temple. As they approach, they are greeted by the sounds of a desperate battle unfolding between Ellis's team and Gio. It's evident that Ellis's team is facing a dire situation, with victory slipping through their grasp. Camito intervenes, engaging in a fierce battle with Gio, who reveals he wants to defeat Camito to identify as the true Demon King. Camito holds his front but is overwhelmed by Gio's numerous spirit possessions, with even Claire falling under Gio's power. On the other hand, Rinslet's attacks are futile against Gio's counterattacks. Suddenly, Camito's strength vanishes due to excessive spirit power usage. Gio then targets Fiona and Ellis, but Camito resists Gio's attack. Despite his efforts, Camito and his team are eventually defeated by Gio. With hope seemingly lost, Fiona stands up and unleashes the hidden bloodstone she's been concealing. Her shot forces Gio to retreat. After the battle, it becomes apparent that Fiona doesn't have a spirit contract and relies solely on bloodstones. Consequently, Fiona declines the role of the royal successor and is unable to enter Eurasia since she harnesses the power of the bloodstone. Meanwhile, Fiona uses the bloodstone to join Camito's team since she wants to participate in the Blade Dance event and win. Claire says that Camito's team is full of weaklings, but Fiona believes that only Camito's team will accept her. They proceed to complete the mission, but Ellis and Rinslet are unable to continue as they are severely injured. The others immediately reseal the place as ordered by Miss Greyworth. On the other hand, Gio feels upset about failing to beat Camito. Rashia appears and reveals to Gio that the Demon King's successor is Camito, but Gio does not accept it and insists that he is the successor to the Demon King. Later, Camito and the others finally reach their destination. Camito believes that Gio is not the true Demon King. In response to Camito's thoughts, EST states that Camito is the real Demon King. Shortly thereafter, Gio confronts Camito once again, and they engage in a fierce battle. Initially, Camito appears to have the upper hand, but Gio's poison comes into contact with Camito's sword, giving Gio an opportunity to land a stab. Cornered, Camito tries to keep talking to Gio to buy some time. Finally, Claire arrives to aid Camito, and Fiona prepares to start her spirit dance. As she begins to dance, the spirits within Gio's body slowly emerge. His body is different from ordinary people. It's like a vessel that gathers spirits to become much stronger. Soon after, Rishia appears and expresses her desire to awaken Kamito's true power. Gio, who remains persistent despite not caring about the true Demon King, requests Rishia's assistance. Turns out, she is ready to lend him her sword to help Kamito quickly awaken his true potential. Gio then targets Fiona, but Kamito's attack makes Fiona feel guilty since Kamito has always protected her. She attempts to summon her spirit contract as a giant robot. After some effort, she successfully re-establishes her spirit contract, and together they defeat Gio. The scene shifts to Kamito, who wakes up in a room. He uncovers his blanket, but instead of finding EST, he sees Fiona. She explains that she needs to be close to him to re-establish her spirit contract. Just then, Claire, who has finished showering, catches them together. Overcome with jealousy, she immediately confronts Kamito with anger. The scene transitions to the past, focusing on a 13-year-old Ellis watching a blade dance match between her sister and Ren Ashbel. Unfortunately, her sister ends up losing to Ren. After witnessing this match, Ellis became intrigued by Ren Ashbel. Later, Kamito wakes up and ends up hearing Claire and Fiona in the kitchen making chocolate for Valentine's Day. Kamito inquires about who the chocolate is for, considering they attend a girls' school. But Claire and Fiona remain evasive. Meanwhile, Miss Freya and Miss Greyworth discuss Kamito's incomplete team and express curiosity about Kamito's true identity. Miss Greyworth mentions that Ellis will be returning to school for the Blade Dance event, while Miss Freya notes that illegal traders are selling spirit seals in the city, likely due to the upcoming event. Kamito participates in sparring to improve his rank, often competing with Claire against the same opponents. They manage to secure third place in the rankings, with Ellis' sister holding the first rank. After the match, Fiona invites Kamito and the others to celebrate their team's victory. On the other hand, Ellis attends an extra class, while Kamito offers to teach her some important lessons. Despite initially drawing her sword in defense, Ellis accepts his help and agrees to wait for him until 5 in the afternoon. She also informs him about the illegal spirit seal sales in the city. As they head to the restaurant, Claire pauses to look at a necklace in a jewelry store, but quickly becomes embarrassed and rushes away. Kamito is puzzled by her behavior until Rinslet reveals that Claire's birthday coincides with Velseria's party tomorrow. At the restaurant, EST asks if she can order everything on the menu, and the chapter ends with a twist. They discover a waitress spying on their group. As time passes, Kamito and Ellis study together. Initially, Kamito suggests they study at the library, but Ellis insists on using her room. Once they arrive, her room impresses Kamito with its tidiness. Turns out, it's the first time she invites a man into her personal space. To Kamito's surprise, Ellis changes into a maid's uniform, explaining that her friend advised her that men like women in such outfits. However, Kamito expresses his dislike for it, which angers Ellis. She even points her sword at him, leaving him no choice but to relent. Kamito then encourages Ellis to showcase her talents beyond swordsmanship. She demonstrates her cooking skills by preparing a meal for him, and Kamito genuinely enjoys the delicious food. He even compliments her, suggesting she has the qualities of a good wife. Ellis feels awkward at this remark but urges him to keep eating. Following their study session, they spend time chatting in the garden. Ellis opens up about her sister and mentions that Kamito's visit might be a one-time thing. She talks about her sister Velseria, who lost her position as the head of the Knights to Ren Ashbel. Ellis has taken on that role but is frustrated by the difficulties it presents, especially with many of her knights injured. She then asks Kamito to join their ranks, and he agrees, with the intention of helping her out. Meanwhile, Claire is once again engrossed in making chocolate when Kamito returns home unexpectedly. She scolds him for leaving without saying goodbye, and her frustration escalates when she learns he has visited Ellis's room and agreed to join the Knights. Feeling hurt, Claire sends Kamito out of her room. Afterwards, Fiona arrives, attempting to console Claire. The next day, Kamito finds himself awakened by EST in the middle of the forest. EST asks him to promise that he won't abandon her, as he has seemingly abandoned Claire. The scene then shifts to Ellis, who assigns her team a mission to safeguard the city during the Valentia festival. When Kamito is introduced as a new knight, Velseria is furious, having learned that many knights have fallen due to their perceived weakness. She reveals her purpose for arriving, to recruit someone for her team. Ellis initially rejects Velseria's offer, but Velseria's rage erupts, displaying immense power and causing several knights to fall. However, 4 knights stand their ground, prompting Velseria to recruit them before departing. Ellis invites Kamito to continue their mission, but he insists on helping the injured knights from Velseria's earlier attack. Following that, Kamito and Ellis carry out their mission to protect the city, leaving Kamito, the newly minted knight, visibly exhausted. Later, as Ellis grows hungry, Kamito offers to buy her a meal, but she declines, having brought an abundance of food for their fellow knights. They find amusement in seeing EST in her adorable human form. Kamito accidentally encounters Claire's cat, leading to a meeting with Claire herself. Although she remains upset with him, Claire wants to reconcile. However, Kamito explains he is on duty and has to dine with the other knights, which upsets Claire even more. This tension escalates when Ellis joins them. Claire impulsively tosses the pouch containing her homemade cake at Kamito before fleeing. Claire's actions catch the attention of two students seeking revenge on her. Simultaneously, a woman who has previously disguised herself as a waitress at a restaurant appears seemingly poised to manipulate the vengeful students. Meanwhile, Valseria gazes at a photo of Ren Ashbel, which stirs deep emotions within her, and she vows to exact revenge on Ren. Claire, upset and determined to become stronger, finds herself surprised by a woman in a forest while Kamito and Ellis are on patrol together. Ellis accidentally holds Kamito's hand, sparking an unexpected connection. As they stroll by a dress shop, Ellis pauses, leading Kamito to inquire about her dream of becoming a knight, which was inspired by Valseria. Despite Valseria's change in attitude following her defeat by Ren Ashbel, Ellis couldn't help admire Ren's noble blade dance. Ellis and Kamito are later drawn into a battle with a cursed giant spirit in the city. Claire joins the fight, but before they can attack, an explosion destroys the spirit, caused by Valseria's robotic spirit. Valseria shows no remorse and criticizes Ellis's suitability as a knight, angering Kamito. Valseria incapacitates Kamito, and afterward, Kamito compliments Claire's chocolate and presents her with a birthday gift. Upon inquiring, Kamito reveals he joined the Knights to be able to afford such presents. Fiona interrupts them with news of a competition against Valseria's team. Kamito has a plan but needs someone with long-range attack skills. Rinslet volunteers and Ellis ponders Valseria's words. Claire invites Ellis to join her team, and since her injured teammates can't participate, Ellis has no choice but to accept Claire's offer and become part of her team. Meanwhile, Valseria impatiently awaits a battle with Ren Ashbel, while the woman who had previously attacked Claire seems to know Valseria and her heart condition. Meanwhile, Ellis encounters Kamito, who expresses his eagerness to join Ellis's team. In a touching gesture, Ellis offers Kamito some chocolate to lift his spirits, fueling their determination to triumph over Valseria. On the day of the match, Ellis pledges to demonstrate the true path of their knighthood to Valseria. As Claire's team strategizes, Valseria unexpectedly intrudes, boldly asserting her ability to take on all four of them alone. However, Rinslet's expert archery skills counter Valseria's initial attack, and Fiona employs her robotic spirit to restrain her. They launch a second assault, confident it will vanquish Valseria, but they soon realize their miscalculation since Valseria remains formidable. Recognizing the need for more power, Valseria initiates an unrelenting assault that strains Fiona's robotic spirit to its limits. Claire resolves to create an opening and, with determination, burns Valseria. Simultaneously, Rinslet fires an arrow in the same direction, causing Valseria's robot to experience extreme temperature fluctuations, leading to its eventual destruction by Ellis. Though Valseria refuses to yield and regains her footing, her spirit emits a dark aura, indicating the cursed seal's influence. She loses control and starts attacking her own teammates. Meanwhile, Miss Freya implores Miss Greyworth to halt the match, but she insists on its continuation. Back in Astral Zero, Claire and the others find themselves being absorbed by Valseria, prompting Kamito to intervene. Kamito, though still weakened, confronts Valseria, utilizing a fighting style reminiscent of Ren Ashbel. Claire is upset by his recklessness, but Kamito persists. Fiona provides him with healing magic to restore his strength. They hastily assemble their final formation to defeat Valseria, and Kamito ultimately emerges victorious. Afterward, Valseria recognizes Kamito as Ren Ashbel, the one who defeated her, and acknowledges her defeat before fainting. Unveiling a surprising twist, the waitress at Nouveau turns out to be Vivian, the one who infused Valseria with the evil spirit. Vivian reveals her interest in Kamito, but Miss Greyworth, her former mentor, confronts her for causing trouble. In the end, Miss Greyworth takes swift action, ending Vivian's life. Rishia, an observer, vows to prevent Kamito from submitting to Miss Greyworth. The scene shifts to Kamito and his friends celebrating their victory with a joyful party. Kamito finds himself the center of attention from the girls, but is particularly struck by the transformed Ellis, who has donned a dress signifying her recognition as a knight. Vulsaria, on the other hand, prepares to undergo treatment for her heart condition.
If you liked what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel and stay tuned for more quality uploads.